There are moments in life when someone enters your world, and the idea of it being a simple coincidence no longer feels believable. You can analyze every detail, trace every event, and try to explain how everything happened. But somewhere deeper inside, you already know that something beyond logic brought this connection into your life. This person did not just appear randomly. Their arrival carried a sense of meaning, and from the moment they came in, something within you changed. A quiet transformation that left a lasting mark. Even now, as you try to continue your journey, as you tell yourself that the chapter has ended, and as you search for logical reasons to accept the distance between you, something still draws your awareness back to them. It is not because you are unable to let go. It is not because you are chasing something that is gone. It is because a deeper part of you recognizes that this connection meant something. If you are hearing this message right now, perhaps there is a reason it reached you at this moment. The most meaningful realizations often arrive when we are finally ready to understand them. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." And right now, something inside you is beginning to awaken. A quiet awareness that refuses to believe this connection was meaningless or something you were simply supposed to forget. You may find yourself caught between two different feelings. One part of you wants to move forward and accept what happened, while another part still feels that there is something unfinished. Silence creates uncertainty. Distance can make you question even the strongest emotions. You may have asked yourself whether you overestimated the bond, whether you created meaning where there was none, or whether your feelings were only a temporary illusion. But illusions rarely survive the test of time. What is built only from fantasy eventually disappears when reality challenges it. Yet this feeling has remained. Despite the space between you, despite the pain, despite every attempt to convince yourself otherwise, something still exists within you that acknowledges the importance of this person. This does not mean you are obsessed. Obsession feels chaotic, desperate, and consuming. What you are experiencing feels different. It is quieter. It exists beneath your thoughts and beyond your fears. It appears in moments of stillness, in dreams, in unexpected memories, and in emotions that rise without explanation. It feels like a story that has not completely revealed its purpose yet. When you first met this person, something within you responded immediately. It was not only attraction or compatibility, it was a sense of familiarity that could not be easily explained. Almost as if a part of you recognized something in them before your mind could understand why. The conversations may have seemed normal, but the feeling behind them was not. There was a rare combination of comfort and intensity, a feeling that created an imprint strong enough to remain. Carl Jung once compared human encounters to the interaction of two chemical substances. When a reaction happens, both are changed. And that is what happened here. Whether they openly admit it or not, this connection affected them too. Certain people enter our lives and leave us different from how they found us. They awaken parts of us that can never fully return to sleep. Even in silence, even with distance between you, something can continue to exist beneath the surface. Not everyone processes emotions in the same way. Some people express what they feel immediately, while others retreat inward and try to understand their emotions alone. Silence does not always mean a lack of feeling. Sometimes, silence happens because the emotions are stronger than someone knows how to handle. You may have awakened something in them that they were not prepared to face. Instead of moving closer, they created distance. They may have believed that stepping away would make the feelings disappear. But emotions do not vanish simply because they are avoided. When life becomes quiet and distractions fade, memories of you can return. They may remember the conversations you shared, the way they felt understood, or the sense of being truly seen. They may notice the difference between your presence and the emptiness they experience elsewhere. And that realization can create an inner conflict. not because they feel nothing, but because they feel something they do not fully understand. Inside them may exist old wounds, fears of vulnerability, fear of losing control, or fear of being emotionally exposed. For some people, deep love does not immediately feel safe. The difficulty is not always about the person in front of them. Sometimes, it is about what that person awakens inside them. This is why meaningful connections can become complicated. One person begins to grow through the experience, while the other struggles with what the connection reveals. You became a reflection. You showed them emotions, softness, and truths they may have been avoiding. Instead of facing that reflection, they stepped away from it. Carl Jung explained that until the unconscious becomes conscious, it continues to influence our lives while we believe we are simply experiencing fate. Right now, they may still be guided by emotions and fears they have not fully confronted. But once awareness begins, it creates change that cannot easily be reversed. What someone has truly felt cannot simply be erased. What someone has genuinely experienced cannot be completely forgotten. Your presence may have awakened a part of them that had been hidden for a long time. A part connected to honesty, emotional depth, and authenticity. Experiences like that do not disappear overnight. They continue working within a person, slowly changing the way they see themselves and their relationships. Some connections leave behind more than memories. They leave behind an impact. They continue appearing through unexpected thoughts, meaningful dreams, and moments when someone suddenly feels the presence of a person they tried to move away from. But there is a difference between trusting a connection and trying to control its outcome. Your tiredness is understandable. Carrying deep feelings without clear answers can be exhausting. But hope does not always come from attachment. Sometimes hope is simply the quiet voice of intuition, reminding you that some experiences hold meaning beyond what you can currently see. And sometimes, the most important changes are happening silently before they become visible. Something is shifting beneath the surface. Even if you cannot recognize it clearly yet, something is gradually changing beneath the surface. The resistance that once felt strong is beginning to weaken. Emotional barriers are slowly coming down, and what once seemed impossible to reach is becoming softer. The thought of losing you completely may be starting to feel heavier than the fear that kept them from moving closer. This is not the ending of the story. It is a moment of stillness where deeper understanding is developing. You are not being asked to sit in uncertainty and put your life on hold. You are being invited to stay connected with yourself, to remain open while still protecting your own peace. Real patience is not about waiting endlessly. It is about trusting without abandoning yourself. It is about continuing to grow, continuing to live, and allowing things to unfold without forcing what is not ready. As you move through this process, pay attention to what feels naturally true. Real clarity does not need to be chased or convinced into existence. When something is aligned, it brings a sense of inner calm rather than constant fear. That peace is often the way your deeper awareness communicates with you. This connection is not disappearing, it is evolving, and through that evolution, both of you are being transformed. The human mind struggles with uncertainty because it wants answers, labels, and timelines. It wants to know what will happen and when it will happen. But personal growth rarely follows a predictable path. Sometimes the most important changes happen in the unknown, where illusions fall away and emotional dependence is replaced with self-awareness. What you are experiencing is not simply a period of waiting, it is a period of becoming. Since this person entered your life, you have changed. Your emotional understanding has expanded. Your standards have become stronger. You no longer feel satisfied by connections that lack honesty, depth, or consistency. Something inside you now desires something more genuine, something built on openness, emotional safety, and mutual effort. This is the lasting effect of a powerful emotional experience. Some connections do not enter our lives only to provide comfort. Sometimes they arrive to awaken parts of ourselves that were hidden. They reveal what our hearts are capable of feeling and show us what we can no longer pretend does not matter. Once that awareness opens, it becomes difficult to return to the person you were before. Even when the other person is no longer physically present, the truth you discovered within yourself remains. This is why moving on can feel so difficult. It is not only about missing someone, it is also about missing the version of yourself that became visible through that connection. Through them, you discovered your ability to love deeply. You discovered your capacity for emotional presence, loyalty, and genuine connection. And once you experience that level of awareness, you cannot simply erase it. The mind may continue searching for explanations. It may ask why things are not easier, why the situation does not make more sense, or why the feelings do not follow a simple path. But meaningful connections rarely unfold in straight lines. They move through cycles, bringing the same lessons back in different forms until deeper understanding is reached. The challenge here may not be a lack of emotion. It may simply be a difference in timing. You may already be emotionally open and ready to understand what this connection means, while they may still be confronting fears, old patterns, and unresolved parts of themselves. Emotional readiness cannot be given to another person. It has to be created within through reflection, healing, and personal growth. There may be moments when they think about reaching out, moments when your name appears in their mind unexpectedly, moments when they want to send a message but stop themselves before taking the step. Not always because they do not care, but because fear becomes louder than their desire. Fear of rejection, fear of not being enough, fear of showing emotions they have spent years hiding. So they delay, hoping time will solve what only honesty and courage can resolve. But time has a way of bringing unresolved emotions back to the surface. When distractions disappear and life becomes quiet, certain people become impossible to completely forget. In those peaceful moments, late at night, early mornings, or times of reflection, memories can return with unexpected intensity. You may also notice moments that feel meaningful, a song that reminds you of them, a dream that feels unusually vivid, or a memory that appears without warning. These moments are not meant to trap you in the past. They can simply be reminders to trust your own emotional awareness and recognize what this experience has taught you. A powerful shift happens when you learn the difference between attachment and alignment. Attachment says, I need this person to feel complete. Alignment says, I am already complete, and what is meant for me will meet me with honesty. That realization changes the entire dynamic. When you stop searching desperately for answers and begin standing firmly in your own clarity, the energy changes. Pressure decreases, self-respect increases, and genuine connection has more room to exist naturally. You are not being delayed as a form of punishment. You are being prepared for something healthier, more balanced, and more conscious. Prepared to receive love without losing yourself. Prepared to recognize actions instead of chasing promises. Prepared to value consistency instead of potential. They may sense this change within you, even if they cannot explain it. They may feel that you are no longer waiting in the same way, that your energy has shifted from needing an outcome to honoring yourself. And that is often when a connection begins to feel different. Because now it is no longer something guaranteed, it becomes something that must be consciously chosen. This is where deeper truth begins to emerge. Defenses begin to soften. Memories become less painful and more meaningful. The desire to understand, repair, or reconnect can slowly begin to grow. You may experience emotional waves along the way, moments of complete peace followed by moments of intensity. This is part of integration. You are learning how to hold the connection without allowing it to control you. You are no longer lost inside the feeling, but you are also not denying what it meant. You are learning balance. And that balance is powerful because it prepares you to accept the truth, whatever form it takes. The path between you is not necessarily closed. It is still unfolding. Old misunderstandings can dissolve. Inner resistance can soften. What once felt confusing can slowly begin to organize itself beneath the surface. Some things become clear only when both people are ready to truly see them. At this point, there is no need to push, prove, chase, or convince anything into existence. The only thing required from you is presence and honesty with yourself. Remain open, but do not pursue from a place of fear. Allow life to continue unfolding naturally, because what truly belongs in your life does not need to be forced into place. It arrives when the timing and circumstances are aligned. As this journey continues, you may begin to experience this connection differently. It may no longer feel like a painful longing or a constant search for answers. Instead, it may become a quiet sense of knowing that exists within you. A feeling that does not demand reassurance, does not need endless confirmation, and does not depend on signs appearing every day. Something is moving toward balance, not through pressure or urgency, but through a natural process that allows everything to become clearer in its own time. Eventually, there comes a point where longing begins to transform into understanding. Not because the connection becomes meaningless, but because your relationship with that connection changes. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to understand, "What is this experience trying to show me?" That small internal shift creates a powerful change. It is the moment when pain begins turning into wisdom and confusion slowly begins transforming into clarity. You start realizing that this connection was never meant to take over your entire existence. It was never meant to make you lose yourself while waiting for someone else's actions. It came to reveal something within you. It showed you where you had ignored your own needs, where old emotional patterns existed, and where you needed to learn the difference between intensity and genuine intimacy, between attachment and true love, between fantasy and reality. As this awareness settles deeper inside you, the suffering begins to lose its power. Your thoughts about this person begin to change. They no longer feel desperate or overwhelming. They become softer. They appear with warmth, reflection, and a sense of acceptance that whatever happens must come from honesty rather than fear. This is the development of emotional maturity, and as you evolve internally, the entire connection begins to shift, because every relationship is influenced by the growth of the individuals within it. When one person changes their energy, their boundaries, and their relationship with themselves, the entire dynamic begins to respond. When you stop searching endlessly for answers and start standing firmly in your own truth, life begins rearranging itself around that new awareness. What once felt frozen can begin moving again. What once seemed confusing can slowly reveal its meaning. They may sense this transformation within you as well. Even if they cannot fully explain it, they may feel that your energy is different now. It no longer reaches them through desperation or the need to be chosen. It reaches them through calmness, self-respect, and quiet strength. And that carries a much deeper impact than chasing ever could. Silence begins to take on a different meaning. It is no longer automatically seen as rejection. It becomes a space for reflection, growth, and emotional processing. It creates an opportunity for hidden truths to rise to the surface. They may be facing parts of themselves they once avoided, patterns of emotional distance, control, and self-protection that once felt necessary may no longer provide the same comfort. What once felt like safety may slowly begin to feel like limitation. There may be moments when they feel drawn toward you, followed by hesitation. Moments of wanting to move closer, followed by fear and uncertainty. But this inner conflict is not only about the connection with you, it is also about their own personal growth and the challenge of confronting themselves. Moving forward requires vulnerability. Remaining distant requires accepting the possibility of loss. Eventually, that tension asks to be resolved. But what matters most for you is understanding that the future of this connection does not depend on how long you wait or how strongly you hold on. It depends on how deeply you remain connected to yourself. The more grounded you become, the more clearly you will see what is truly meant for you. Whether this journey leads toward reconnection or toward a different path, you will no longer be broken by the outcome. You will have grown through it. You will have become stronger because of it. Somewhere within you, there is already an understanding that this connection carries unfinished lessons. Not because you are meant to remain trapped in the same cycle, but because there are truths waiting to be acknowledged. Unspoken words, unexpressed emotions, choices delayed because of fear. These things do not simply disappear. They remain until they are faced with honesty. Fear exists in the center of this connection, asking both of you to grow. Your lesson may be learning how to trust your inner guidance without abandoning yourself. Their lesson may be learning how to open their heart without feeling that they are losing control. Both lessons unfold differently, and both require personal awareness. You may also notice that the idea of reunion feels different now. Not because your feelings have disappeared, but because you have changed. Your standards have become stronger. You no longer desire a connection based only on chemistry or emotional intensity. You want consistency. You want honesty. You want effort. You want someone who chooses you through actions, not only feelings. This does not create distance, it creates truth. Many people misunderstand deep connections because they believe they are supposed to endure endless pain for love. But genuine connections are not meant to imprison you in suffering. They are meant to bring you back to yourself first. And if both people become aligned, they can create a healthier connection built on awareness and mutual effort. There may come a moment when communication opens again unexpectedly. A message that feels more genuine, a conversation with more honesty, a shift that feels lighter than before. When that happens, allow it to unfold naturally. Do not rush what needs time to develop. Real reconnection cannot be built through pressure. It must come through willingness, emotional honesty, and growth from both sides. And if fear appears, fear of hoping again, fear of disappointment, fear of being hurt, allow yourself to feel it without allowing it to control you. Fear does not predict what will happen next. Fear is often simply a memory of what happened before. You are not the same person you were when this journey began. You have become more aware, more grounded, and more connected to your own worth. You no longer measure your value by how much you can endure, how long you can wait, or how much you can sacrifice for someone else. Your growth has already shown you your strength. Whether they are ready to meet you at this level is their choice, but they will notice the difference. Life responds to who we become, not just what we hope for. And now you are becoming someone who carries self-respect, emotional balance, and quiet confidence. Pay attention to how you feel when you think about them now. Is there less anxiety, less urgency, less need for constant answers, more peace and acceptance? That shift shows that you are reconnecting with yourself. You are learning that true security does not come from another person, it begins within. What happens next is not about waiting endlessly. It is about allowing life to reveal what is real without forcing an outcome. It is about allowing love to meet you where you are now, not where you once lost yourself trying to hold on to something. This connection may still feel unfinished, but that does not mean you are stuck. It may simply mean there are lessons, emotions, and truths still unfolding. Your role is no longer to chase, convince, or prove. Your role is to remain steady and aware. The connection no longer feels like something you must solve. It feels like a mirror, showing you what this experience awakened within you. You are realizing that this bond was never meant to be chased. It was meant to be met with honesty, presence, and mutual effort. A real connection can only grow when both people are willing to show up fully. You no longer need to explain your value or prove the depth of your feelings. You know who you are. You know how deeply you love. And that certainty changes everything. When you stop changing yourself just to keep something alive, the truth becomes clearer. The connection will either grow into something more authentic or reveal its limitations. Either way, truth brings clarity. Your heart is not closing. You are simply no longer abandoning yourself. Your energy is calmer, your presence is stronger, and your emotions are no longer controlled by fear. As you grow, what was hidden begins to surface. They may start recognizing what was left unsaid, what was avoided, and what their distance created. This is not about guilt. It is about awareness. Growth cannot be forced. Vulnerability and emotional maturity develop when a person is truly ready. What matters is not how quickly things change, but the direction they are moving. You may still feel moments of connection through memories, dreams, or sudden feelings of calm. These moments remind you that this experience had meaning.